First, let's start with this case. It's not a dollhouse, but I didn't want anyone to think I was being misleading on purpose by saying I built a house. I, 28M, made my wife, 28F, a replica of a house that's known to fans of a musician, but wouldn't mean much to others. It's about 2 feet tall and wasn't very complicated to build, but my wife had said a few times over last year that she thought it would be cool to have for little trinkets. She's like a crow with her trinkets. I love it. She didn't know I was making it for her, but I did sneakily involve her in its creation through having her make a couple TikToks when we were out together, so I could get the colors right. She has no idea. Lol. I was excited, so I showed a picture to my brother. He told me it was cool, but didn't get the purpose. He showed it to my niece Ava, 13F, who knew what it was and said she wanted one too. My brother asked if I would give it to Ava for her birthday. I said no, it's for my wife, but I could make one with Ava. It would help teach her some basic woodworking skills, which they don't do in schools here anymore. I'd like that. Brother said if it was so easy, then I could make a second one for my wife and just give this one to Ava, since her B-Day is the end of the month. Again, I said no, this was done specifically for my wife. He seemed to accept that, but then came back to me and said, "Isn't it a little weird to make a dollhouse for an adult woman?" I told him it's not a dollhouse, just a fancy shelf. He argued that makes it worse because Ava would actually play with it. He must have gone to complain to Mom about it. He is the younger brother. Because Mom called me to tell me that it was stupid to give my wife a dollhouse. I tried to explain that it's not a dollhouse, but she just kept saying, "That's stupid." This weekend I was at their house, and Ava kept bringing up the house and laying it on thick with statements like, "I've always wanted one just like it." She kept asking why my wife wanted a dollhouse. I said it's not a dollhouse, but she kept asking why she needed a dollhouse. I told my brother that he was encouraging his kid to be manipulative, and I really didn't like it, so I was going to leave. He told me that I was dangling the house over her head like McDonald's and teasing her, and that it made me a bad uncle. Being a good uncle is important to me, and I do feel for the girl because she's a big fan too. I admit I have a blind spot for this because I don't have kids, and maybe I shouldn't have shared the picture with my brother to begin with. Am I really the idiot for not just giving it to her? Yes, it was easy to make, and I could make another quickly. Sorry guys, Ava isn't my brother's biological daughter. There's a long story involved that I didn't want to add, but I should have realized the age would be surprising. I still see her as my niece regardless, but I get why that would be alarming. Nothing bad happened or anything. Let's start judging. I'm guessing the dollhouse is a replica of the lover house? If it's anything like I'm imagining or what I've seen online, it is more like a fancy storage display for her Taylor Swift memorabilia, rather than a toy anyway. You're not in the wrong in either case, OP. It's your creation that you get to gift to whoever you want. Pay the lover house trinket shelf tax, please, I want to see it. You're not in the wrong by far. You're not in the wrong. Your brother is being weirdly entitled, and he's encouraged Ava to act like a nuisance about it too. Your solution to make one with your niece sounded like a really nice idea. At this rate, I wouldn't be willing to help her make one or make one for her at all. This is ridiculous behavior from your brother, and now his daughter is being influenced. Unacceptable. Do not cave in on this. Next up, my 16F bio class recently took a quiz, and when we got the results back, a classmate, we'll call her Vivian, not her real name, got a 100 and told the whole class that it was her first 100 on any assignment in the class all year. She mentioned that she put one answer for a certain question, but I had gotten a different answer and was almost positive that my answer was right based on the work I did during the quiz. A group of friends in the class also got the same incorrect answer, so we went to the teacher to ask her to explain. After working through it with us, the teacher determined that her original answer in the key was incorrect, and she decided that she would regrade everyone's quiz, meaning Vivian would get a 95 instead of a 100, and my grade would be raised to correct for the error. I thought that was the end of it. But now Vivian is repeating this story to everyone she can, blaming me for taking her 100 away, because I wanted a perfect score so badly. She's also placing the blame entirely on me, even though 3 other people also raised the same concern to the teacher with me. Am I in the wrong for raising it with the teacher? Is Vivian because she's repeating and misconstruing what happened? Or is it my teacher for taking points away for her error? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. She didn't get the answer right, so she shouldn't have gotten a 100. Plus, multiple people got points off even though they had the correct answer, and multiple people went to the teacher. Vivian shouldn't be blaming you, and the teacher should look over her answer keys before grading. Realistically, the teacher should throw out the question entirely. That means they would still have their perfect score, as would you. I don't think anybody is the idiot in the situation, but it could have been handled differently for sure. You're not in the wrong. But I find it odd that Vivian knew so much about biology that she got every single answer right, except for the one question that the teacher coincidentally had incorrect on the answer sheet. Next up, my stepson, 19, got kicked out of his mother's house after stealing and selling a very expensive item from her husband. He was going from a friend's house to another till my husband brought him in. I wasn't thrilled to have him in the apartment given his reputation, but he was almost homeless and needed help, so I agreed to let him stay with us till we worked something out with his mom. Truth be told, he's pretty respectful, helped with chores, washed ours and the neighbors' cars for cash, so I thought he had changed. But something strange started happening. My 3K necklace disappeared once, and I accidentally found it in the bathroom cabinet. Then it disappeared again, and I was lucky to find it, but it was somehow hidden under the couch when I found it. I started realizing that my stepson was attempting to steal the necklace, but I kept finding it when he'd hid it. I decided to wear it to keep it safe. Monday evening, I was napping in my bedroom while my husband was at work. I fell into deep sleep, then suddenly got waken up by feeling someone's fingers on the back of my neck. I found my stepson trying to open my necklace's clasp. I was lying on one side and I turned and saw him. I started panicking and he took some steps back, telling me to calm down. I sat up and yelled, asked him what he was doing, and he started stuttering. I figured he was trying to steal the necklace from me. I yelled at him to get out, then called my husband crying. My husband got home and tried to work the situation out by making his son apologize, but I said I won't have him here any longer. I don't feel safe anymore after he tried to snatch my necklace while I was sleeping. And this wasn't even the first time he tried to steal the necklace. My husband said his son had nowhere to go and it'd be cruel to kick him out, but I demanded that he leave. He went to a friend's house and my husband got back and picked a fight with me about how I'm putting him in a position to choose between his son and me. He kept convincing me to let him return and promised to make him swear he won't do it, but I refused. I'm honestly worried and cannot be sleeping with both eyes closed with his son in the house. Am I justified in my action? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. 3 possible scenarios. He's stealing and selling things to pay for a secret habit. He's stealing and hiding your necklace to mess with you and make you feel crazy. He has a touch of kleptomania, and if so, needs to get some help. No matter what, he should not be allowed back in your house. He has shown an alarming willingness to steal your things, right off your neck no less. You're not in the wrong. Do a credit check right now. He isn't respectful. He is doing basic chores for cash. Part of me is tempted to say he's been pawning the necklace for quick cash and then getting it back. Or he is testing how long it will take for you to notice it gone, so he has getaway time. Or time for the pawn shop owner to melt it down before police get there. Or maybe he is trying to establish some kind of fake history of you losing your necklace all over the place, so husband blames you. This is going to happen again. Your husband is wrong. He will continue to do this until he gets jail time. There is a reason he is going from friend to friend's house. If he was quiet and respectful and changed and doing chores, they'd be glad to have him. This has happened too many times for anyone to believe he won't do it again. He was supposed to not do it again when he first got there. You need an attorney. Get all your stuff and put it in a bank deposit box. If a single piece of jewelry is missing, do not discuss it with your husband. Just call the police. Shred all documents with your name, personal cell number, work info, etc. This includes credit card bills, things you get in the mail saying you are pre-approved. Take your birth certificate, social card, passport, anything you can use to prove ID, and put that in a safe deposit box also. You are one step away from getting knocked out for your jewelry. Get yourself out of there if he refuses to leave, and get an attorney. Do not move back in unless your husband agrees to counseling and to kicking him out. There is no negotiating on either condition. Oh, absolutely. You're not in the wrong. That's really scary, how boundaries have already expanded to almost assaulting you in your sleep. You are not safe. Your stuff is not safe. This is not a situation to compromise at all. You would have valid reason to kick him out after the first time your necklace went missing. If this kid has a key to your house, look into getting a new lock, and maybe an additional one for your bedroom. Increasing criminal behavior doesn't suddenly stop. Next up, I split up with my ex almost 2 years ago. My child started school the same year. My ex was never too involved in our child's educational needs, even when she was a toddler. I handled it all myself. My child's school offers multiple apps and websites. You can be up to date with everything without ever having to contact anyone. I asked my ex repeatedly to get at least the main apps, so that I don't have to keep reminding him of important dates in our child's progress. He didn't care. Just a few examples. Whenever I asked to make a plan for any school break, he'd ask when the school break is. I sent him links to the school website, but he couldn't even be bothered to save a screenshot, make a note of the dates, etc. So he'd ask again next time around too. He couldn't be bothered to update his phone number in the school records, so the office couldn't contact him during an emergency. I informed him about all parent-teacher meetings. He said he couldn't make it, and that it made sense for me to go because he didn't know the teachers. Even in September, when neither of us knew the new teachers. Side note, he doesn't work, I do, so I thought it was logical to have him attend, so I wouldn't have to take time off work to do so. I'd send him any important dates, school plays, any shows, sports events, etc. He'd pick and choose the ones not involving much interaction. Reading together on the World Book Day was a no-go, but watching the kids race was okay, etc. I'd even invite him to events organized by any clubs my kids is in, clubs I organized and paid for myself, but he always had an excuse unless the events fell on his weekends. Even then, he'd sometimes ask me to swap the weekends. I accepted it for over a year for the sake of peace. I wanted my kid to see her dad support her achievements too. But it's been so long, and I'm just tired of having to both handle the responsibility and remember to give him updates about it. It also felt like I was trying to make him involved when he clearly wasn't interested. So last autumn, I announced to him that it was on him to stay up to date with our child's school stuff. I gave him 2 weeks to get everything sorted. I even listed all the important apps / websites so he wouldn't miss anything. The only one I didn't share was a payment portal, as I knew he wouldn't care about that one. I promised to still share any information passed via written notes, letters, etc., as obviously he would not have access to those otherwise. I followed through with it. It took him 2 months to realize what's happened, and now he's furious saying that I'm using the child against him. He got his family involved, and now they are all bombarding me with texts saying that I'm the idiot for doing it to him and our child. His mother also pointed out that she'd done everything herself as well, and didn't involve her husband in the school stuff. So she knows it's not that hard, and I'm being dramatic. Am I in the wrong? Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. He's your ex, not your partner, so his mom's argument doesn't stand. Just because she puts up with useless partners, you don't have to do the same. Exactly what are you doing to him? You're not keeping him from any information, you're not locking him out. You gave him all the access he needs to find the information himself. The only thing you did was help him, repeatedly. Send that to your ex-family and tell them to leave you alone or block them. If he can't be bothered to be involved, that's not on you. With this much weaponized incompetence, he's lucky to hold a job. Does he ask his boss to read out his emails for him and manage his calendar as well? Or is he suddenly capable of normal adulting when it doesn't concern you? You're not in the wrong. As his mom pointed out, It's not that hard, so he can do it himself. You're not in the wrong. Managing a child's education is definitely a tag team effort, and it sounds like you've been the solo champion for way too long. It's 2025, not the Stone Age. He can definitely use an app or two to keep up. You've given him all the tools he needs to stay informed. It's on him to use them. His reaction sounds like a classic case of mad because he got called out. Stick to your guns. You're not the school's personal secretary, and it's totally fair to expect him to take some initiative. Maybe this wake-up call will encourage him to step up, finally. Keep focusing on what's best for your kid, and let him figure out his app passwords.